So for the folks who are coming in, thanks so much for being here and for spending your Friday lunchtime with us. If it's lunchtime where you are, we do of course know that for some of you it might be breakfast. For some of you it's mid-afternoon. I don't know. Maybe you're in your pajamas at this point, but we're glad to have you here. That's a great thing about the virtual space, right? We can all be wherever we are and still be together. So it is noon, even a little bit after. So I am going to get started with our program today. I'm sharing my screen because I'm going to take you through some slides and really walk you through the 2024 Summer Writing Retreat. So I will start by saying hello. My name is Becca Oliver. I'm the executive director here at the Writers League of Texas. We put on programs year-round for writers. We are the largest literary arts organization in Texas, but our programming is absolutely open to folks all over the country, all over the world. Anyone who wants to come and hang out with us and work to hone their craft, understand the business side of publishing, and build community with fellow writers and other folks in the literary world. So that's what we're all about. And we put on two big programs every year. We put on a lot of programs every year, but we put on two in particular that come up in the summertime. And right now we are getting ready for July, which will be our month-long virtual summer writing retreat. So if you're here today, I'm guessing you're either already registered for that program and you're excited to see your instructor, maybe hear a little bit more about the various things we have going on, or you may be considering joining us for July. I can tell you, hands down, it is my favorite thing that we do, and I like a lot of what we do. But I love this event. I love it for its focus on craft. I love it for the cool people that we gather together in these classroom spaces and in the larger general session spaces. And I love it for every year getting some writing time of my own and getting the chance to think about my own life as a writer for a tick versus all of the other stuff that I'm always thinking about. So it's a personal event for me, and I'm so glad you're here to hear more about it. So here we go. What the heck is the Summer Writing Retreat? It is, as I said, a month-long virtual program intended to bring writers together to focus on craft. It includes 3 classes. We give you 3 different classes on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday night, a fiction class, a memoir class, and a revision class. And in addition, we have something we call the Write Away, which is an opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not quite ready to take a class, or maybe I don't feel like I need a class this July. What I need is some writing time. So we give you this special opportunity to spend those nights writing instead of deciding to take a class. You can also take more than one class if you'd like to. And then we have special events throughout the month that are intended to just keep you fed, that writer soul of yours, fed with great presentations by special guests every Tuesday at lunchtime, with a Saturday craft seminar, with meetup opportunities to go into small breakout rooms with other writers and meet perhaps the people who are going to be a part of your writing life moving forward. And then a really special closing session that'll talk about our student reading night. It is a month that we curate carefully to try to give you whatever you could possibly need as you're taking this beat in the middle of the year to focus on your writing. So to let you know, just to walk you through the month, and then we are going to get to our wonderful instructors who are here to talk about the classes, but we start the event with an orientation session on the Sunday prior. So that evening we'll get together one last time, similar to what we're doing here, but we're going to have even more information for you. And especially if you're taking a particular class, you're going to get a little bit more of an idea of what to expect that first session. And we're going to just walk you again through the month with even more particulars in terms of the programs that we have planned for you. But this session is recorded. So if you can't be there, if you can't be a part of it, that's okay. You're going to receive the recording afterwards. But we'll start the month on Sunday, July 7th with an orientation. And then we go to our Monday nights. On Monday night from July 8th all the way through to July 29th, we're going to have our fiction class with Amy Gentry, who is here today and is going to talk to you in just a bit about the fiction class. And simultaneously on Monday nights, we will have the Right Away. So from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m., folks will have the opportunity to gather in a virtual space. We'll start, if you register for the Right Away, you'll start with some warm-up exercise of some sort. You'll start with an opportunity to chat with your fellow writers about what you're focusing on for the entire month, or in particular that week or that night. You'll just be building your own sense of community within this Right Away space. And all summer writing retreat class registrants will have the opportunity to join those Right Away sessions starting at 7 p.m. on any of those nights. So we reserve the first 30 minutes for the folks who are only doing the Right Away so that they have a real special opportunity to get to know each other throughout the month. But then at 7 p.m., we'll have our cameras off, our microphones off, and you'll be welcome to come in and out as you'd like to. So keep in mind for the Right Away sessions, you don't have to be there at 6:30 on the dot. You don't have to leave at 9:30. You can leave a little earlier. They are there to be whatever you need them to be. Be there only on Mondays, be there Mondays and Tuesdays, but not Wednesdays, whatever you need them to be. And then on Tuesday evenings, you're going to have your memoir class with Elissa Altman, who is here to talk about that class in just a bit. So that class will be happening every Tuesday evening, starting July 9th through July 30th. And then again, the Right Away will also be happening on Tuesday evenings. I want to mention too that on Tuesdays we'll have lunchtime, special lunchtime presentations. These will be craft talks on topics to still be announced. So you'll hear from us soon, but we've extended invitations to several authors that we really love and admire who are going to come and chat with us during lunchtime. Just a very, somewhat informal. They will plan a talk, but there will be plenty of time for questions and plenty of time for you to meet the fellow writers who are in that room. These will be meeting styles, so you'll be able to have your camera on and your microphone on, and these will happen every lunchtime on a Tuesday throughout the month of July, starting with that first Tuesday after July 8th, which is also known as July 9th. So we'll have lunchtime presentations for 1 hour. These will be recorded. So if you can't be there, don't worry, you're going to get to see them. And then, of course, Wednesdays, we have our revision class with Chaitali Sen, who is here today and is going to talk to you a little bit about that class. And then again, Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., the Right Away. So if you're doing the math, that is 9 hours a week, 3 hours each night, 9 hours a week, multiply that by 4, 36 hours in the month of July. Spend 20 of those hours if you want, spend all 36, but it is a really cool opportunity to dedicate yourself to some writing time for the month of July. And then on Thursday evenings, we will have 2 meetups during the month. The first one will be the first week, July 11th, and the second will be the final week prior, July 25th. And that will be an opportunity to go into small group breakout rooms with other writers. These will not be based on the classes. You'll be having so much time during the month to get to know your fellow writers in the class that you take or in the Right Away. This will be an opportunity to meet the other folks who are at this retreat and just expand that writing community of yours. And then we have a really special program planned for Thursday, July 18th. It is one of our Third Thursday panel discussions, and what a freaking lineup of writers we have who are going to talk to you about writing outside the box, writing in more than one genre. So you're going to get to hear from, and I pinch myself when I say it, Nick Flynn, Courtney Mom, and Reyes Ramirez. And this is going to be a really cool conversation, which we are excited to have this July. And then we also are bringing you a Saturday craft seminar. So if you are registered for the summer writing retreat, do not purchase a ticket to the Saturday craft seminar. You are automatically registered, which means this event, which is typically $35 for a registrant, is a part of the larger package of your summer writing retreat ticket. You're going to receive a copy of the book. You're going to come on Saturday, July 13th, and you're going to hear Steve Altman talk about this book that he just published, Truth is the Arrow, Mercy is the Bow. We're going to have a fun time. We're going to have an interesting conversation. And this is a part, again, of your summer writing retreat registration. So you do not need to register separately. We'll be reaching out to you soon to get you the copies of the book. If you're already registered for the retreat, we're going to be ready to send those books in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. But this is also a special event that is a part of the summer writing retreat. And then the last thing I'll mention, and I'm excited to then turn it over to the folks I'm guessing you're really here to hear from, is that we end the summer writing retreat every year with such a special event. It's our student reading night. So if that causes any of you to sort of, feel pain in your stomach, the thought of reading aloud to a group of people, let me tell you that it is such a safe and lovely space. And it is really cool to hear students who've never shared their work before have the opportunity in this space and in this group of people, with this group of writers, to share something. And then you also hear from folks maybe who have shared before, but who have really been polishing something that they're excited to try for the first time. And oftentimes what students are reading is material that they've worked on in their classes. That's really the intent of the student reading night. But each class will select 3 readers. The instructors in the class figure out the best way how they want to do that. We leave it up to you. But the readers will have a chance to read up to about 3 minutes of their work. We do keep it to a pretty short reading to keep things moving along, but we'll have 3 readers from each class, and then we'll also have 3 readers from the Write-A-Way. So the Write-A-Way will select 3 of our student writers, folks who are hanging out for the month who would like to share their work as well. It's a really special night and such a great event, not only for the folks who are getting a chance to read, but for everybody who's a part of the summer writing retreat to get a chance to celebrate each other and to really bring this wonderful event to a close in a great way. So that will happen on Thursday, August 1st. Oh my gosh. So here are some frequently asked questions I have anticipated because I hear them frequently because they're frequently asked. What a great lineup. What if I miss one? Are they recorded? Yes. Every class session is recorded. Every lunchtime presentation is recorded. The Saturday craft seminar is recorded. We do not record, of course, the breakout meetups, but everything else is recorded. So if you know, I want to take the memoir class, but there's a Tuesday in the month that I absolutely can't be there, that class will be recorded and shared with you after. And the same is the case, of course, for any of the other events. So you don't have to worry about missing a thing if you have one particular conflict in terms of timing. If I register for one class, am I registered for all of the classes? No, you are not. So I definitely like to make sure folks are aware of this because it does happen occasionally that somebody registers for a class and assumes that they're also in the other 2 classes. If you register for a class, you are in that class and you are able to participate and attend all of the other special events for the retreat, the lunchtime presentations, the Saturday craft seminar, the meetups, everything I mentioned a minute ago, but you only participate in the class that you actually registered for. Can I take more than one class? I think that's a question you have to ask yourself, honestly, because it's a lot, but absolutely. There are folks, in fact, this year, I believe we have someone who has signed up for multiple classes. It is designed to enable you to do that if you'd like. We have one class happening on Mondays, one on Tuesdays, one on Wednesdays. If you want to spend your entire month, Monday through Wednesday with us, you're absolutely welcome to do that. Again, entirely up to you. I'm always happy to talk to folks who are considering it and give you a sense of what you might be in for, but you're going to hear more about the classes today. So you'll learn that as well. But yes, absolutely. You can take more than one class. So our classes have 2 levels of registration, which I'm going to get a little more into, but one of the questions that comes up is if I register for level 1, which is just the class, I say just, but it's a lot, the class, and I change my mind and I want that second level. I want the private consultation. We are absolutely happy to accommodate up to the very moment of the first class session. So you do have to commit before that class starts to level 2. If you would like to, for lack of a better word, upgrade yourself to level 2 and have the private consultation as well. If there are seats available, if those are available, we do cap them at 20. We're happy to accommodate you, but once the class starts, you're at the level that you're at. So keep that in mind. And then I do like to mention that we have a Discord community channel server, community server channel. I don't know the proper language for Discord, I'll be honest with you. Evan does, our staff member who runs it, but we have one of those. And we have a special channel that we do for our summer writing retreat folks. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want to be able to chat with folks in between classes in a space like Discord, we will absolutely hook you up and get you signed up for that before the retreat starts. And it's an opportunity to just build more community throughout the month. I just want everyone to know that if you have questions, I will definitely get to them when we get towards the end. So I'm not ignoring you as much as I'm just keeping focused on the presentation. And then finally, we're going to get to the classes. So I do want to remind you, if you're not aware or tell you for the first time, that we have 2 registration levels at the summer writing retreat. We have level 1, which is the class and all of the special events that come with it, with the retreat. And then we have level 2, which is the opportunity for no more than 20 students in each class to have the chance to have a private consultation, a one-on-one meeting for 20 minutes sometime during the month with the instructor of that class. And 2, if you'd like, share up to 10 pages. Keep in mind, you do not have to share pages. Some folks opt to do that. Many people say, I actually just want to have the conversation. I'm not quite ready to share anything. So that's completely up to you, but that is the difference between registration. Both of those registration levels include, again, everything that I've talked about here today, including the opportunity to go into those right-away sessions. Do not register for the right-away if you're registered for a class, unless you want that 30 minutes at the top on those days when you're not in a class to start to get to know those other right-away people, or unless you want to be considered as a potential reader for the right-away group. If you want that extra community experience, then sure, you're welcome to also register for the right-away, but keep in mind you do have that right-away time with your registration for a class. And again, all of the other stuff we've talked about today. So this is the, all of this information is on our website, of course. Many of you have already read it. Many of you have already registered, but I will be happy to answer any questions about the registration when we get a little bit towards the end of this program, if you have them. But without further ado, what I'm going to do now is turn it over to our instructors. We're so lucky to have this trio hanging out with us in July and sharing their I'm going to say brilliance, just their amazing perspectives on writing. We have with us this year, it's always fun to me to put together the summer writing retreat each year and to think, okay, who's that person that maybe is going to come back from years past because my gosh, the mob we would be dealing with if we did not invite her back again. We have one returning instructor, and then I always think who are the people that we haven't had at this event before that would be just so cool to introduce them either to our writing community altogether, which I'm excited that we have someone at our summer writing retreat this year who hasn't taught a class with the Writers League before, but whose reputation absolutely precedes her in terms of what a cool instructor and cool writer she is. And then we have someone who has taught classes for us who pretty much blows your mind every time she talks about anything related to her writing, and especially when it comes to elements of fiction. And so we're so excited to also have an instructor that is familiar to us, but is a first timer for the summer writing retreat. So without further ado, I'm going to go in order of our classes, and I'm going to give the instructors an opportunity to talk to you a little bit about what they have planned for the month and why this topic and what they're excited about and anything else they want to tell you. So first up, on Monday nights, as I mentioned, we're going to have our fiction class. This is a class that is focusing on the fundamentals of fiction. techniques for plot, structure, character development, and scenes. You know, just a couple unimportant parts of fiction that we all can completely ignore. Why do we need to know them? No, essential fundamentals of fiction is what Amy Gentry is going to be focusing on. Amy Gentry is the best-selling author of the thrillers Good Is Gone, Last Woman Standing, and Bad Habits, as well as a book of music criticism, Tori Amos's Books for Pele, for Bloomsbury Press's 33, and a third series. Her reviews and essays have appeared in the Chicago Tribune, the Paris Review, Los Angeles Review of Books, Salon.com, Texas Monthly, Austin Chronicle, The Best Food Writing of 2014, and many other outlets. She holds a PhD in English and is a teacher and book coach here in Austin, Texas. And so I am going to happily turn it over to Amy Gentry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Gentry, and thanks so much, Becca and Writers League of Texas, for putting this together, because I had no idea how much is involved, and it's like my mind is blown. I'm like, I want to do the retreat myself. Maybe I will someday. So anyway, I'm Amy Gentry again, and I am so pleased to be your instructor for the Fundamentals of Fiction class. The aim of the class, as Becca has said, is to introduce you to and even go into a little bit of detail about these core components of fiction. And I love the 4-week format because it gives me a chance to go like a little bit deeper than I even get to go in other formats. And I'm nervous, guys. I'm going first, so thanks for being tolerant of that. I want to say right up top that although I am a novelist and I often focus on novels in my class, this is stuff that short fiction writers absolutely can learn from and use. These appear in every type of fiction. However, I focus on novels chiefly because when you're hitting a long project like that, these are the things you like lean on, right? They're fantastic for short fiction. They're, I would say, essential for getting through a novel. Although not every single novel in the world uses exactly these components, I would say like most of what you read does. And I always say from Pride and Prejudice on one side to Green Eggs and Ham, like this is a wide variety of story components. So if you're just starting out a novel, if you're curious, novel curious, or if you have gotten stuck in the middle of a draft, or are trying to reach the end, or have like drafts that you don't know what to do with, or if you're a short fiction writer, I think you can benefit from this. So the format is pretty straightforward. Every week, we're going to have an instructional session up top, the presentation on whatever the core component is that week. We're going to go do some exercises in class, and then we're going to break out into sessions to discuss those. And I'll kind of hop between sessions to hear a little bit of that. So pretty straightforward. And as far as the material we're going to cover, I like to say the class is structured like a wine glass. So, because it's Friday, right? So we're going to start with the biggest scale components, what I think of as like the big picture. And then every week we're kind of going to like get a little bit more granular and fine-tuned. And then we're going to flare out at the end and sort of back up and look at the big picture again in a new way using what we've kind of learned so far. Oh, and I also focus, I want to say, as I talk about each week, you'll notice that I use the word relationships a lot. So I like to talk about the relationships between these elements. And that's because I learned these techniques under duress. I'm not a plotter in advance. I still am not. I'm not an outliner. And these are techniques, the more you understand the relationships between them, the more you can build them organically together. And you don't necessarily have to know in advance. If you are an outliner, they can similarly help you make your outline feel more organic and not just like a list of events or like a formula. So there you go. And I want to say that like I actually love formulas. I think they're very useful, but these are like, if they're a formula, they're a descriptive formula. Okay, so this is not prescriptive like my way or the highway. These are descriptive elements that evolve and grow, and they're very capacious. So Anyway, we're gonna kick off that first week with the top level, what I think of as plot and structure, right? So this is the biggest picture, and it's also to me the most useful thing to learn up top, because as we go down the scale, we're gonna find that actually it's useful at every level to know. We're gonna break down 3-act structure, which is infinitely flexible, into its core components using the beat sheet method. And again, we're going to focus on the relationships between these so that they don't feel just like random plot points. They're things that can help us generate our plot if we're stuck, get us out of a pinch or a jam, because that's what I'm all about. And then the next week, we're going to come down a notch to what is probably for most people the most important and relatable, for readers anyway, aspect of fiction, which is character. If you read Goodreads, this is the thing people talk about most on Goodreads. Uh, we're going to talk about, of course, deepening, strengthening, and rounding out characters. But we're also going to talk about character systems in a novel, because most novels don't just have one character, right? They have lots. And we're going to talk about the relationship again between character and plot, so that we can kind of toggle back and forth and solve problems in our novels using that relationship. And finally, for like a little bonus that week, I get asked about twists a lot, plot twists. So we'll cover plot twists, and we'll also cover B plots, which some people don't know about. Both of those are character-based elements of fiction, and they're both just, wonderful, can get you out of a jam and kind of go to the heart of a story often. So the third week, we're going to finally go down to our most fundamental building block of fiction, which is the scene. Now we can talk about beats all day, but how do you turn, like, what is a scene? Like, beats are actually, on the granular level, they're just a bunch of scenes. So we're going to sort of ask about what is a scene, what are the components of a scene, and touch on things like exposition, dialogue, backstory, all of these description, all of these elements that are important to know and know how to use and integrate or into scenes to make them work. So that is like a really important week. That's a week I love. I usually have like a little aha moment during that week. And finally, then we're going to go to flare out again to that big picture. And to me, the biggest picture of all is theme. That's what the reader walks away from a novel thinking about or taking away. And it's probably also why you wrote the novel in the first place, although you may not really know that going in. So it's a thing that often comes up late in the book or in revision phase. And it's so, ooh, there's my timer. I'll wrap up soon, guys. It's something that comes into play late in the novel, and I like to link it to a structural element that people don't often talk about, which is pacing. So pacing doesn't just turn pages. It also is a way to fine tune and strengthen your theme and make sure that what you care about is also what the reader comes away with. So with that said, also I want to say, if you are focused on revision primarily, there's a revision class too. So stick around for Choithe's talk about that. She'll go really in depth on that. And I'm excited about Elissa's memoir class too, which is coming up next, I think. And yeah, thank you so much. And I hope I see some of you on Monday nights. And yeah, that's all. Thanks, Becca.
Amazing. Thank you, Amy. I should say I took a class with Amy just before our summer writing retreat started last year, and it blew my mind. And I still refer back to so much of what I learned in that class. And I just, hearing you talk about this fiction, these 4 weeks of fiction fundamentals is super exciting to me. So thank you. Thank you so much. And so then we're going to move on, guys, to Tuesday night. Here we go. And this is such a treat to have Elissa Altman teaching for the Writers League of Texas. I will say a couple of years ago, I think, I tried to lure Elissa here, but unfortunately, she was up against a real big deadline. But that was because, speaking of Courtney Mom, who popped up on the slide a little bit ago, I was talking to Courtney about memoir writing and instructors for memoir. And she said, look, you need to reach out to Elissa Altman. She is the best. And so no pressure, Elissa. But so exciting to have you on Tuesday nights, teaching a class that I think sounds really just so cool and interesting. Finding clarity in memoir, permission, story ownership, and truth telling. So, at the risk of embarrassing her, I'm going to read her quite impressive bio. Elissa Altman is the award winning author of the memoirs Motherland, Trey, Poor Man's Feast, and her upcoming hybrid memoir about permission and creativity, On Permission, coming in winter 2025. A finalist for the Lambda Literary Award, Connecticut Book Award, and Maine Literary Award for Memoir, Altman's essays have appeared in Orion, Narrative, On Being, Oh, the Oprah Magazine, The Wall Street Journal, The Guardian, and The Washington Post, where her column, Feeding My Mother, ran for a year. Altman writes and speaks widely on the intersection of permission and the creative spirit, and has appeared live on the TEDx stage and at the Public Theater in New York. She teaches the craft of memoir at the Fine Arts Work Center, Orion, Maine Media College, Maine Writers and Publishers Alliance, College of William and Mary, and internationally. We are excited to add the Writers League of Texas to that list. And she lives in Connecticut with her family. So please welcome, and I'm so excited to hear from Elissa Altman.
Thank you so much, Becca. Great to meet you, and great to meet you, Amy, and Chaitali, right? Chaitali. Well, and great to see all of you who are here. I can't see you, but you can see me. So I'm delighted to be here, and I have made I've made Becca promise that I will come to Austin at some point. I have worked on writing in a fellowship and in Corsicana, and I was in Corsicana working on my book and out of course, and then I never made it to Austin. So I look forward to coming sometime soon and meeting all of you and sort of getting entrenched in the literary community there, which I gather is very, very active and very big. So permission. As Becca said, I'm the author of three memoirs, three memoirs, and this fourth book, which is sort of a hybrid memoir / craft book about permission. And the thing that I learned after writing these books is that at some point, if not like the day you open up your first document to start writing, is that you will run into issues of permission. You will run into this sort of like earworm of it's not your story to tell. Who do you think you are? All the stuff from grade school, the teachers like shaking their face. Who do you think you are to tell the story? Your grandmother who was like, shh, don't tell anybody, that kind of thing. And inevitably, the permission issue is the elephant in the room and is the single biggest issue that I have found that writers, whether they are new writers or seasoned writers, that's the issue that they run into again and again and again. And I'm sorry, I'm in Connecticut. If you see me rubbing my nose, we're having a massive pollen thing going on here. So please forgive me for that. But just to give you an example of what permission can do, issues of permission can do to seasoned writers. One of the workshops that I was leading, it was a big workshop, and I had students who had never written before, never picked up a pen, and a National Book Award winner in fiction in the same workshop. And I tried to not have a heart attack when I saw her in the workshop, but there she was. And the new writer and the National Book Award winner, were talking about the exact same things. So who am I to tell the story? How do I short circuit the issues of fear and ownership? What makes a story mine to tell versus not mine to tell? The NBA winner actually said to me after the class was over, "This has been great, and I've really enjoyed it. I can't do this because it will just it'll overturn the apple cart. And I said, well, what do you think is going to happen? And she went on to say that, she was worried about upsetting people. And then I found out that the people she was worried about upsetting were dead for 150 years. So these are, when we talk about permission, inevitably we're talking about ghosts. We're talking about ghosts, the ghost of I will not permit you to tell the story, or these are family secrets and who do you think you are to tell them, and grandma's going to roll over in her grave, and so on and so forth. So I learned that fairly quickly, and I learned it the hard way, which is where my next book, Permission, is coming from. And that's actually called Permission, the New Memoirist and the Courage to Create. And I believe that whether you're writing memoir, fiction, any other genre, writing is an enormously, it's an act of bravery. It is absolutely an act of bravery. And if you think that, Permission touches only memoirists, it doesn't. It covers the broad arc of the work of writing. And so, what I've tried to do over the years is sort of unpack the questions that are aimed at unraveling permission. So if we do not allow ourselves permission to create the work that we need to create and tell the stories we need to tell, inevitably the clarity of the story is murky. We wind up writing ourselves into holes. But at the same time, we have to examine motivation. If permission is so is such an elephant in the room, then what is it that compels us to tell that story? As James Baldwin famously said, and I'm certain I'm going to mangle this quote, we writers have one story to tell, and they tell it over and over and over again, and it comes out in different forms, in different shapes, and it gets bigger, it gets smaller, but we have one story to tell, and which is why issues of permission keep coming up over and over again. So some of the ways that we deal with permission, we have to examine motivation. Why are we insistent on telling the story that we need to tell? Identifying key characters and their narrative arcs, even in memoir, this is critical. This is absolutely critical. We have to talk about, time and tense and point of view, and it is really remarkable. There are certain, I wouldn't call them tricks, but there are certain things that writers can do to sort of short circuit issues of permission that keep us from moving forward in a story. So in terms of the sessions, these are all, the sessions sort of all build on each other. And by the time you get to the end of the fourth session, you should have a toolbox in place that you can turn to, that will help you move over the various hurdles that crop up in the writing of memoir. So the first week, we'll be talking about story ownership and the question, who owns the right to tell a story, and why must I tell the story, and what is the core of the story? If the story is about something that happened to somebody else, do I still have the ability to write that? Do I still have the right to write it? So we'll be talking about that. Every meeting will have embedded in it an exercise, the results that you will do on the spot, the results of which you will take out into breakout rooms, and I will pop back and forth, and you can read them aloud to each other or not. And I know that people are sort of on the fence about that, and that's okay. I've been on the fence about it in my you know, in my work as well. So the second week is identifying the story that you are trying to craft. And the word craft is very important here. Often when we're faced with issues of permission, we sort of downshift into journaling mode. And so it's important to understand the distinction between crafting memoir and writing in one's journal. And there's usually not a whole lot of overlap there. There can be, but there isn't a whole lot of overlap. Just because something is really important and you put it in your journal, does that make it memoir? No, it doesn't. So what is the story that you're trying to tell? What is the story that you're trying to craft? How vital are the secrets, if there are any, to the story? Must the secrets be told? Or are you writing from a place of revenge or sadness or joy or rage or fury? And I think most important, you know, what is the point of view of the narrator? Who is the narrator telling the story? The third week will be about understanding motivation and your characters. Even though this is a memoir workshop, I think of the people who inhabit memoir as characters, and they have to be developed in the way that they have to be developed in fiction. Although fiction and memoir are two completely different things. How do these characters move through the story? How are they connected to the issues of permission? Is the story autobiography or is it memoir? What are the differences? And how does that difference impact permission? And I think most important, how can the writer separate themselves enough from the narrator to create context and distance, allowing the story to move into a place of clarity? It is imperative that as writers of memoir, that we create a narrator as character, and we take our hands off the steering wheel and let go of the side of the pool and take a giant step back and let that narrator move through the story with all of their quirks in evidence. And then the final week, we're going to talk about voice and its impact on permission, and the importance of staying within voice or stepping out of voice, and working with issues of time and tense, and how does changing tense create distance and allow for the short circuiting of the questions of story ownership, and how does voice diffuse issues of permission to allow the reader to get the narrator to get to a place of creative transcendence. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to a place of creative transcendence. So you know, with every book, with every essay, with every workshop I lead, and every student I meet, I am always just kind of blown away by the fact that the permission issue is one that absolutely everybody has to overcome or come to terms with, no matter what level they're at. And so I love working with new memoirists. I love working with people who have hopped back and forth between genres and are, you know, or may go back and then, you know, and never come back to memoir, or may choose to do both. It's really a thrill and a delight for me to do that. And it has really clarified for me as a workshop leader that, you know, memoir is my chosen genre. That's the one that I turn to over and over again. And it is the most, it's the genre I believe that brings us together at the human level. You know, you can find yourself completely engaged by a memoir written by someone who comes from a completely different background, in a completely different world, and it brings us together as humans. It's reflective of the human experience. And again, permission is part of the human experience. So I will stop right there before I blah blah myself into a corner. And I hope to see you. I hope to see you in my workshop, and look forward to meeting you.
That
So
is so
thank you.
terrific. You had me at creative transcendence. You had me well
Important.
before
It's
that,
important.
but so
Thank
cool.
you.
Thank you so much. I'm
Thank you.
so excited to see what happens on Tuesday nights in July. It's going to be pretty cool. So now we are going to move on to last but certainly not least, and this is the person who just probably knows every June or May to expect a call from me for the summer writing retreat, because Chaitali Sen has come to our retreat a few times at this point, and I can't remember. Did we get you to an in-person one, or have you done?
No, just
Okay, all right.
online.
Well, I owe you a week's vacation somewhere one day when we get back in person. But in all seriousness, we're so lucky to just have Choity both as an instructor in our community, but also as one of the writers in this community of ours, who is just so generous and giving in terms of working with and supporting other writers. And I can tell you that I've met more than a handful of people who still remember when Choity gave a presentation at our conference a few years ago on this exact topic, and how sort of mind-blowing it was for folks who were thinking about revision. So to have her here teaching this class on Wednesday nights is very exciting. So we will have our revision class on Wednesday. It is called Layering: A Strategic Approach to Revision. Uh-oh. What did I do? Hold on, guys. I just screwed up my computer. I'm back. Okay. You can count on me to not to screw up my PowerPoint at one point during a presentation. Chaitali Sen is the author of the novel The Pathless Sky and the story collection A New Race of Men from Heaven. Beautiful collection, chosen by Danielle Evans as the winner of the Mary McCarthy Prize in Short Fiction and one of Kirkus Review's 100 Best Fiction Books of 2023. Her stories and essays have been published by American Short Fiction, Boulevard, Catapult, Colorado Review, Ecotone, and many other publications. She holds an MFA from Hunter College, City University of New York, and currently lives in Central Texas. And I'm excited now to turn it over to her to talk about our revision class.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm just amazed by the fiction and memoir classes. I've learned so much just in this, these 14 minutes. I also want to say the summer writing retreat is a steal. People pay thousands of dollars to get even a fraction of what you get in the summer writing retreat. It's an amazing, amazing program and an amazing organization. So thank you to Becka. And so I'm going to jump in. So I had developed this revision method about 12 years ago when I was revising my novel, and I was looking at guides and really looking for all the information I could find about how to revise a full-length completed work. And I was really frustrated with what I found. I wanted something that would be more of a universal approach, something that could apply to anything that I'm working on, whether it's short fiction or a personal essay or a memoir or a novel. And I wanted something that made sense as a method, that had a logical cohesion to it because of what you do as writers. So I also, I didn't find it in the guides, but I talked to other people whose work I admired about how do they go about this. And then I tried stuff myself, and I have taught this method. So, this is a method that's really about peeling away the layers of issues, so that you're not overwhelmed by, this big messy manuscript at once. And I actually start at the end of where Amy, where Amy leaves off. And that makes total sense, because when you're drafting a memoir or a novel or even a short story, you're discovering what the piece is about at its deepest level. And I would never recommend to anybody that you don't start drafting something until you know the theme. But theme is something that you have to be able to settle on pretty quickly, be able to unearth, dig up. If we're talking about layers, dig that up. In order to be able to revise successfully. So the first session, so actually I'll talk about the structure of the class. We do, because this is about your work and getting to know your work and what you're trying to do with it, it's a lot of exercises and a lot of discussion. I want you to also be able to talk about your work, which is not always that easy. And then there will be breakouts, in at least one breakout in every session. And then I'm presenting the method where I'm going to be guiding you through this method that is, you definitely can, it's flexible. You can, amend it to what works for you, but I find that it's a method that works. So, how am I doing on time? Becca, you cut me off when it's time. So we're starting actually with something that often is overlooked in revision is knowing what you have. How do you figure out what you've already done? And from there, how do you figure out where you want to go? What is it that you're really trying to say? What's your vision? Your goal for the manuscript. And often we feel like we're not capable of living up to the vision that we have. And we're going to be talking about how you absolutely can, and how do you overcome those fears. And then in the second session, we're really going to get deeply into the actual, identifying the things that need to change, or the things that you think might be not working, or things that are keeping you from reaching that vision. And we start with theme, and we're looking at the relationship between theme and the fundamentals, the craft elements of character, setting, plot or structure, really like the order of events, scenes. So theme and fundamentals is in the second session. In the third session, usually by the second session, people are really like itching with like all the problems that they're merging as they look at their manuscript. So in the third session, we're going to be talking about how do you make a plan to address the problems, and how do you keep track of what you're doing so that you don't have an accumulated mess that, and I can tell you that after publication, often you still see things that you should have addressed in a revision because you forgot that you changed something, and that, had a ricochet effect. And then in the fourth session, we are going to be talking about the micro layers. So just, the texture, things that, it's not the most essential thing, maybe, if you leave out this detail about the weather on a certain day, but when you include it, it just elevates the manuscript because it really it gives your reader the immersive experience that they want. So I think that's the basics of the revision class. The point, what I would like from the revision class is for you to feel joy and energy around the process of revision, instead of feeling, oh, wow, this is like a huge monkey on my back. So, and it's revision should be a joyful process, as much as it is a lot of work. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I do think that's what a lot of folks responded to in your presentation. And when you taught this class, is that joy that you help them to find in a part of the writing process that sometimes folks approach with with not a lot of joy in their hearts. So thank you so much to all three of you. I'm going to mention just a couple more things. We do have, again, the right away. So for those of you who need a little bit more info on this, I will just tell you that you can see those dates there. It is going to be 12 sessions throughout the month of July, 3 sessions a week, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Central Time, and they will truly be opportunities to come into a shared virtual space, have a little bit of time to say hello to other writers, talk a little bit about your intentions for the month ahead, talk about the work that you plan to do that particular week or that particular night, commiserate a little bit if you want, and then we'll do a writing prompt of some sort, a warm-up exercise, and then we get to it. So we turn off our cameras, we turn off our microphones. You're welcome to be active in the chat box. Oftentimes folks will share things along the way that they want to share, and you can ignore it or you can look at it. You can leave early, you can stay till 9:30. At the end of the session, whoever's leading it, whether it's myself or another staff member or volunteer, will ring a gentle chime to let you know that the 3 hours are up, and then we come back together and share if we want to or not, and then we go about our lives and come back again the next night and the next night throughout the month. This is one of my favorite parts of the summer writing retreat. I am the person who leads it, so this is my big head on the screen here to say that I will be there a lot with you. You will not be in it alone, and it really is a special experience. So if you're not sure a class is for you, but you want to be a part of this goodness that is happening for the month of July, the Right Away is a great way to do that as well. So always happy to answer any questions about the Right Away if I can. So what happens next? We hope that if you are here and you were just trying to figure out which part of the summer writing retreat would be the right fit for you, you wanted to hear a little bit more about the classes, you wanted to hear a little bit more about the entire program, my hope is that you will reach out with any questions, and I'm happy to answer them, but that you will also sign up and join us for the month. And if you're already registered, I can tell you that you will be hearing from us in the next week or so with more details specific to your class. So all of our instructors are putting together a little welcome note for their students and letting you know anything you need to know before that first session, whether it's actual reading material that you'll want to get to, or if we have a special form we want you to fill out to give us a little more info about you. Whatever it might be, you're going to get that information very soon. But again, I am your human, your person to reach out to with any and all questions. And if it's not obvious, we're happy to give you all the information we can possibly give you to let you know what might be the right fit for you. But I see one question in a couple of questions coming in, so I'm going to answer them now that we're at the end of our program. If we sign up for a class, are we automatically part of the Right Away, or do we pay separately for that? So you are automatically invited to come into the Right Away session starting at 7 p.m. on any of those nights. So if you do the math, it's 2.5 hours of writing if you are a part of a class. So because we reserve for the Right Away registrants the first 30 minutes of the session, which is the point where we're chatting with each other, we're doing the warm-ups and that sort of thing. But if you're taking a class, we want you to have that dedicated writing time as well. So on the night that your class isn't meeting, come on into the Right Away anytime after 7 p.m. Our volunteer or staff member will see you in the waiting room and will happily let you in. If you want to be a part of the at the top 30 minutes, getting to know ya, sharing, warm up, anything like that, then you would register separately for the Right Away, but you do not need to in order to have writing time. And then I have someone asking, is there a cap? There is only a cap on the level 2 registration. So the max number of students who can take advantage of that opportunity to have a private meeting with one of our instructors is 20 students in each class. So if that is something you want to do, again, If you registered level 1 and you decide you want to go to level 2, you will not be able to do that after the class begins, after the minute that first session starts. So you're going to want to come to me sooner than later if you think you want to do that. But we cap that at 20. We do not cap the larger class. The larger class is still, I can promise you, always a manageable number of people, but we don't cap the number of people who can be a part of the larger class, but we do cap the level 2 registrations. And I'm going to just be silent for a moment and see if anyone else drops a question in. We are so perfect with our time. It's exactly 1 o'clock. Look at what we did. Oh my gosh. Don't see any other questions. So one last time, I will just go ahead and drop all of the links you could possibly need in the chat box. Okay, I have one question that just came in. If we have a partially finished memoir, would it be appropriate to register for the revision class? So for you, Chaitali, I guess the question would be, should folks have something completed if they're going to do revision?
Yeah, actually in the past, I used to think that it was better to have something completed. But it's actually not required at all. It would be better if you sort of have an idea of where you're going to be ending your memoir. If you have like at least a completed, even if it's a rough outline. But yes, you can totally register for the revision class.
All right. Any other lingering questions out there? Well, I will just remind you all again that you can always reach out to me directly. I'm at becca@writersleague.org. You can catch my maybe up. I don't know how to go backwards on the slides. There we go. There's my email address again for you. I want to thank our instructors so much. I'm so excited for these classes and to hear you each talk about them and to see your just amazing warmth and, you know, generosity is already showing before we even kick off this retreat. So thank you all for being here today and being a part of the summer writing retreat. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in. And again, please, please, please reach out to me with any questions, but I hope to see you starting the week of July 8th for the 2024 Summer Writing Retreat. And until then, stay cool out there, take care of yourselves, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.
Well, that was fun.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll
Thank
talk to
you
you
too.
soon. Take
Okay,
care.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.